Master Builders, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Master Builders Academy Forum number 5. I am so excited about this one. Look, I know we say that every time. We're excited about each forum, but this one is going to be good. So I hope you all are ready. This forum, we're talking about strategic investment equals massive income. So what we're going to do is we're going to open with prayer as we usually do. So let's just take a moment. Lord, we just thank you for allowing us to be in this space one more time. We thank you for each and every master builder that's on here right now. Look, they're up early, ready to invest in themselves, Lord. So I ask that when they come to this meeting, that they get something that they need. Help us, Lord, today not to be afraid to let go of any strategies that we had before, anything, Lord, that we've been using that's not been working for us. Help us to be ready to let that go today and get some new strategies and get some new information. And we're not just trying to get rich, Lord. We're building wealth. We're building wealth for our families and for our community. Lord, we ask that you bless each speaker today. Let them come with the power and the information. Let it be impactful for our audience. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Make sure you greet somebody in the chat, in the comments. You all have a great day.
Hello, Master Builders Academy. We are back at it again. And I don't know if you know this, but today we talking about strategic investing for massive income. Now, if you've been following Master Builder Academy all year, you are perfectly positioned in this moment to take your financial future to a whole nother level. And how do I know this? It's because I've been on here watching it. And if you've been on here and you haven't seen it, I want you to go back and I want you to find those past forums, the ones that we did. And I want you to open your mind up to something new, something great. What I can tell you all right now in this moment is that there is an opportunity that exists that never existed before. And what we're seeing now is that those who jump on it are going to be extraordinarily wealthy and prosperous going into the future. But those who don't are going to have lack and they're going to suffer. And so I'm telling you right now, take advantage of the moment. This is your moment. And so we've been talking in the last forum about the urgency of investing, how to get started investing in the stock market. We've talked about different resources and avenues where you can research and be able to learn how to invest yourself or how to get brokers and people who can help you with that. In the previous forums, we talked through all the different things you would need in order to be a first-time home buyer, in order to be a real estate investor, all of those different things. Make sure you tune in and watch those different things. So wealth, you have to remember, is a belief system. And so if we are open to changing our belief system, open to believing something new, something grand, something bigger in this forum today, what I guarantee you is that in this forum today, you're going to get the tools, you're going to get the resources, you're going to get everything mindset wise that you need in order to get into a wealthy and prosperous future. And that's where we want to see all of you because the opportunity, once again, is right now. And so with that being said, we are going to introduce our first speaker of the day. And so we're going to bring in Lakeisha Morris with Deshae's Cakes and Treats. And she is going to lead us into our next session. Excuse me, we're going to have Dejan McCarley. Now, if you don't know Dejan, he was on last time. Okay. And so Dejan is absolutely fantastic. He's the young man who took us through how to start an investment account. He showed us practical examples about how he's personally making money in the stock. And he also shared with you different strategies on how you can approach it. Today, he's up for round 2. And so he's going to get it real practical, real basic. And guess what? If he can do it, so can you. So next up is our entrepreneur, leader, definitely a business builder. And we're so happy to have his creative and young mind on the Master Builder Academy board. introducing Mr. Dejan McCarlin. Whose screen is black right now, but he's coming on in 1 second.
Hey, how you doing? I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here. I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to figure it out. But good morning, everybody. I'm here for part 2 on how to teach you all how to get started in stocks. Today we're gonna go over quite a bit. We're gonna hit the ground running on this morning. I'm happy you all got up and got it after it this morning. If you all want to throw my PowerPoint up here, that would be great. I'm gonna just go over a few things while they're getting that together. What it'll look like, what I'll be going over. There we go. How to make money in stocks, part 2. If you didn't see the first one, you can always go to YouTube and look at that, and take a look at what I had to say about that one. I may touch a little bit on that through this PowerPoint, but if y'all want to go on to my next slide. Today's agenda, I'm going to show you all how to navigate charts. Real basic, it's information you need in order to do the other things that I have lined out for you. How to read stocks. Today we're going to look at the graphs, and we're going to learn how to look at the graphs and how to read trends. I'm going to let you know what limit purchase is, and I'll talk a little bit about paying taxes on stocks today. If y'all want to go on over to my next slide. So navigating charts. The last 2 weeks ago, I talked about this same stock. As you can see here, when I showed you all, it was at $70 a share. Now it's at $97 a share. You don't want to miss out on opportunities like I did. Missing out on maybe $10,000 here, but nonetheless, I'm here to teach y'all so y'all can learn from my mistakes. But in this specific screenshot, I'm showing you all how to navigate between the days and the years and the months, so you can get a better picture of the trends for specific stocks. Real simple, but for those of you that don't know how to navigate, if you look down there right above the trade button, you'll see 1D, 1W, 1M, 3M, 1 year, or 1Y, 5Y. Those go all the way back to 5 years. So you can, I got it written on the left side here. You can look at each stock. It has this, and you can cycle between 1 day all the way back to 5 years when trying to look at the trends. That's what we're looking for here, the trends in the chart, right? What I usually like to do is I like to look at 5 years, because nothing new is under the sun. For those of you that grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, all the trends and the fashion, it's all recycled. It makes its way back at some point in time. Even now, this is the same thing with stocks. We can try to catch on to a trend here by looking at what it did previously, maybe the year before or 5 years before. If you want to go on to my next slide, I'll go over that. So higher high, higher low. That's something you want to write down. That indicates that an uptrend is occurring with the overall increase in value. So trend line. What is a trend line? A trend line is a line that connects 2 price points. You can do it to read any stock, and that's specifics to the stock market. The goal is to use past data to predict what the stock market will do in the future. The stock market has a tendency of repeating itself. The 5-year mark that I spoke about in my previous slide, the 5-year mark is a really good trend line to look at and to pay attention to when trying to determine, what a stock will do. Easy ways to pick up. It's an easy way to pick, upward trends and downward trends on that. So here you see, I'll explain this to you. You see this specific stock. This is just for the sake of the example. It's easier to point out, especially if you're new to stocks. You see here at the bottom, it says $80. So let's say this stock is, I don't know, Apple. It's trading at $80, and it jumps from 80 straight to 100, right? No in between. It jumps 80 to 100. So now it's trading at 100. So as you see, that first one, it's the high, right? So after a month, it goes down and it trades at 90. It's a higher low because it is higher than the initial low of $80. So it's trading in that 90 range, that 90, 100 range. It just jumps back and forth. The best way to put it is if you go to a bowling alley, right? And you know, at some bowling alleys, when you go to a lane, you pull those brackets up, right? And you can throw the ball straight into the gutter and it'll just pinball back and forth in those brackets, right? Same thing. After trading, uh, after a month of trading at 90, after another month, it shoots up to 110. That's high. It exceeds and it breaks the ceiling of $100 of bouncing back and forth. Is now higher than the initial high of $100, right? So when you looking at it, high or low, we want to look at high or low as the floor. That's the floor, right? And then the ceiling is previously was 100. So that's the ceiling. 100 is the ceiling, high or low. $90 was the floor, and it broke the barrier of $100 and became 110. That's now the higher high. So that's the new ceiling, right? So if you look further, it went even further. After another month of trading, after another month, it went up to 120. So it's now the new higher high because that's the highest it's been than the initial high. Um, and it'll keep going on and on. Now, when this happens, you can hop on the trend early and ride it all the way up to 110 if you bought in at 90. We want to try to catch that wave on the upward trend, so that way you can make money off it going up. I know I said on my last one, maybe 2 weeks ago, that you can buy low, which essentially that's how I do it. I usually buy low. Now, what affects stocks going high, jumping up and down, or going higher and higher low, is the news. Maybe GM, for example, they announced that they will be all electric by 2025, right? So if you all don't know, that's the direction that society's going in. So I essentially bought GM, and on the upward curve, on the upward trend, and I made some money off of it. But if you all want to go on to my next slide, I'll go over the opposite. So it's the same thing, same example I'm using. We're just gonna flip it. Lower high and lower low. So lower high, lower low indicates the downtrend is occurring with the overall decrease in value. And you all want to write these two down, these two, higher high and higher low, lower high, lower low. And it's the same thing, essentially. It's just on a downward trend. And, if you buying at the right time, this is how I look at it. Everything that goes up always has to come down. And if you're at rock bottom, there's only one way to go up from rock bottom. So these are two examples that you really want to pay attention to when looking at graphs, and just for the sake to help explain it better for somebody who may not know or know how to invest. I put it in these graphs, put it like this in these graphs for you. So lower high, lower low. Let's use the same example, but just flip it. All right, it's on the downward trend now. So if a stock is trading at 140 and it plummets or it dumps, and what I mean by that when I say that is that it decreases in value, so it loses its value. So it's trading at 140, and then all of a sudden it takes a beeline all the way down to 120. Now that's the low, right? So after a month, it starts trading at 130. It's a lower high. It doesn't exceed 140. Now, if it would have exceeded $140 a share, it would have been a higher high based on what I talked about on my last slide. But because it didn't, it still went up, but it didn't exceed the 140. It didn't break that ceiling. So it's now a lower high of 130. And then after another month of trading, it dumps again. It drops $30 more to $100, right? So that's the lower low. And the reason why it's a lower low is because it's lower than the initial low of $120. These are trends you can catch on. Now, it'll keep going up and then dropping. Remember the bowling alley example I gave. You have those brackets up, and you just bowl a ball, it'll keep hitting those brackets back and forth all the way until it reaches the end. That's the same trend with graphs and lines when it comes to reading stocks. You can catch on to those trends, whether it's on a downward slope or upward slope at any point. You just got to know when to buy in, and the 5-year mark is an easy indicator to look at the trends. Now, the only thing with looking at trends, you can't predict, or you can't tell what happened during that time. Like if you look at a 5-year mark, and it'll look a lot like this downward trend. If you look at the 5-year mark in 2019, the end of 2019, probably 2020, April of 2020, that's when COVID-19 hit, right? So you see all these stocks just, plummet in price. Like you could literally throw your money in anything at that point and it would have hit, because eventually the world would have got back going. Those are things you can't account for when looking at stocks unless you live through it and you can remember everything that happened up to 5 years ago. When looking at trend lines, the news plays a big part in what happens to the stock. As like I spoke towards on the last one, decisions CEO make, things that are going on in the country, with decisions the president make. That's the only thing we're looking at trend lines. You can't see, what affected this stock to make it go down so much or go up so much. You can maybe Google it, do your research, and figure out what happened. But a lot of the times, you don't know when looking at trend lines. If you all want to go into my next slide. So here, this is an important part that I wanted to throw in here to for those of you who are new to trading, new to buying and selling stocks. Once you figure out and do your research and know, like, okay, this is a stock that I like, this is something that I want to buy. So once you hit that trade button, it gives you 3 options. It gives you the trade option and the option to sell and buy. Trade options is a little bit more in depth, a little bit more starting out. That's not something I would recommend somebody to do. And you all can go look at it and figure out what that's about. But trade options, I wouldn't necessarily touch, because that's just basically calling. That's what you predict what a stock will do. You call and predict. It's a little bit more risky. I've never dabbled in that, but if you all are comfortable in doing that. As far as buying, so once you hit the buy tab, as you see here, it says market price, estimated cost. So market price is currently what the stock is trading at. So as you see here in my screenshot, the same stock, Viacom CBS, is trading at 97.42. Now, as you're on this tab and you're deciding, how many shares I want to buy, you'll see that number keep jumping up and down because it's live. It's live trading. All of this is live. You'll see that number keep moving as you're deciding on how many shares. But what I wanted to let you all know is, as you see, if you look right under buy Viacom CBS, how much money I have available to put in this stock is $1. You don't have to buy full shares of stock. If you want to only spend $20, but you like Tesla, you can buy $20 worth of Tesla. You don't have to spend how much is it? It's at almost $500, probably more dollars a share. You don't have to spend $500 on this specific share in order to acquire it. You can spend $50 on a stock. You'll get a fraction of a share, and it'll do the math for you. Here on this example, you can buy 1 share, but there's a drop-down menu, and then you can switch it to how much money you want to spend. So if I wanted to buy $1 worth of this stock, I could. So when you all are investing, you don't have to buy full shares. Now, the return on your investment might be greater if you bought full shares and the stock jumps. But essentially, you don't have to throw $500, $600, $700. You can start out with throwing $20 here, $20 there, and you can throw it in your favorite stocks, and you can buy fractions of a share in these companies that you want to buy. Like, remember on my last one, I said you now become owners. You could walk around and say, yeah, I'm a part owner of Tesla. That's true. If you bought a share of Tesla, you own a piece of Tesla. If you all want to go into my next slide, I'll go over the next one. limit purchase. So limit purchase is basically how much you are willing to buy or sell a stock. So say you come across Amazon and you want to buy Amazon. Amazon, I don't know what it's trading at today, but it's around $2,500 a share for Amazon. So say you wanted to buy Amazon, but in order to buy it, you don't want to spend 2,500. You want to spend $2,200 on Amazon, right? So you can go and you can set a limit order price, right? So you can set a limit at what you want to buy it at. So that way, if Amazon drops down to $2,300 a share, it'll automatically buy that stock for you. You can put in there how many shares you want to buy and what price you want to buy it at. So if you look in this example, stock ABC is trading at 49, and they set a buy limit order. So let's say $25. I only want to buy the stock if it drops down to $25. It has a timer on it though. That's the only thing. In this though, you really don't have to pay attention to it as much. Now, if the stock hits that, it'll automatically execute the purchase order for you. And the same with selling. So if you want to sell a stock and you want to go ahead and do a limit purchase or a limit sale, say for my sake, I wanted to sell the Viacom CBS, right? I would set on that limit, I would set the limit of selling it at 100. So once it reaches 100, it'll sell off my shares, right? And that's how the buy limit order works. You set a limit, it has an expiration date to it. You set a limit, you want to sell it or buy it, and once you do that, it'll execute it for you. If you want to go on to my next slide, I'll go over taxes, which a lot of people don't like. I don't like taxes. I've yet to file taxes on my stocks. But basically, with taxes, you got to pay it on everything. Any assets you own, you got to pay capital gains tax, which is money you pay on assets. So even with real estate, say I buy a house for 100,000, and I sell it off, right? And I sell it for 170,000. I have to pay taxes on that $70,000 that I just made. Same with taxes. If you buy a tax or same with stocks. If you buy a stock for $50 and you make, I don't know, $50 off of it, so you sell it at 100, you have to pay taxes on that $50. It's called capital gains tax. Any profit or gains generated from the sale of a capital asset. It only becomes due once you sell. So it's the total sale price minus original cost of an asset. You want to write that formula down. Total sale price minus original cost of an asset. And they'll send you a W-2 just like any employer would. So you can go on and file it on your taxes. With stocks, I think it's a little different. Like I said, I have yet to file taxes on stocks. But that is something that you will have to do. And that's in any asset you own. You'll have to pay capital gains. The government won't stir us in anything you do. But the difference with taxes is the rich pay tax last. So that's another conversation for another day. When you are rich and wealthy, there's ways around that. There's ways around paying taxes. When you own corporations, they spend first, pay taxes last, right? But that is different whenever you're wealthy. But that's another conversation for another day.
Wow. Dejan, you did it again. Okay, so if you wasn't listening right there to what Dejan put you on, he put you on some simple techniques to be able to open up an app on your phone and to be able to review some different charts and graphs that's going to help you to say, is this a good time for me to buy? Is it a good time for me to take profit and sell? And then he ended with the best part. So you might have to go back and rewind this video later. But he said capital gains. And see, here's the thing that we all missing is that you made money. It's wonderful. You had something that could be taxed. Right now, if your money's sitting in a savings account, you have nothing to be taxed. You have no gains. And so whenever he's talking about things that lead to capital gains, he's telling you that from your cell phone, you can make money that's going to give you gains. And so take that away with you. And I know some of the different information it might, okay, well, this chart, this number, this letter. So Dejan, if you had to give one tip today, one major tip as to the number one key indicator you use to buy or sell a stock, what would that be?
The trend and the news. I look at the trend. So I look at what a stock or on average what it's trading at, and I look at what it's currently sitting at, and I look at what's going on in this market. So with the Viacom CBS, when I had bought it, I knew the market. I know Viacom CBS. They do so. I know the business as well. They have something to do with sports. So NBA, NCAA, MLB, they have everything to do with that. And at the time, none of that was going on. None of it. So they weren't making any money because they weren't able to show any of these things. And, I looked at the trend line. So I knew the market, I knew the news around it, and I knew the trend. So unfortunately, I didn't buy enough. That's the only thing. I only bought one share. But
Dejan,
yes,
Dejan, fantastic job. My question for you, how long you been in the game?
I started when COVID hit. So not
all right.
long.
So I want everybody, because Dejan kept saying, I haven't paid no taxes. I didn't want the IRS man to come get him, thinking he's been in the game a long time. This is first year tax, man. All right. I'm telling you all, everybody, I want you to pay attention to something, because many times we over my head. I don't understand this stuff. Listen to me. He's been in the game for less than a year. You know what I'm trying to tell you? He's got capital gains in less than a year. And I'm trying to tell everybody, he mentioned Amazon. He talked about $2,500 for some stocks. But I'm going to tell you something. There's $2 stocks. Mm-hmm. There's $10 stocks. All right? And so many of us, we make 1,000 excuses why we can't get in the game. And you went and paid $10 at McDonald's. And that could have been $10 worth of stock. Here's what I'm trying to tell somebody. Everybody, if you haven't hit the share button yet, you're making a mistake. You're being stingy. Go ahead, hit the share button so your friends can know they need to get in the game. Dejan knocking it out the park for the second week in a row. And I'm telling you, if Dejan can do it, listen, I know he's a college man. I know he's a college man and everything. But I'm telling you, he ain't that smart. We not dumber than Dejan. If Dejan can do it, if John can do it, if Michael can do it, I promise you, you can do it too. Great job, Dejan.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. Dejan, you did it again. Thank you so much to our president, Michael Ford Jr., for jumping in. We appreciate him so much. Next up, you are in for a treat. We're going to review Master Builders core values. We're going to review the mission statement of Master Builders Academy, and that's going to come to you from Melvin Little. He is the owner of Safety Net LLC, along with being a man of God and a pastor. He is so many different entrepreneurial things, director of global missions. He is all over the world spreading the good news, but at the same time, he can tell you more about business than you may have ever experienced. We're going to bring up Mr. Melvin Little Jr.
Well, thank you, John. Much appreciated. And my goodness, what wonderful information we just heard from Dejan McCarley, one of my sons, actually. And so we appreciate that. And as Michael said, I'm one of those guys. I don't have a college education, but I realize the value in purchasing stock. So listen, we want to go back and talk a little bit about what Master Builder Academy is all about. It is about developing people. It is about building businesses, and it's also about establishing financial futures. The mission statement for Master Builders Academy is inspiring communities to achieve intellectual and economic renaissance. And this group has been doing that now for the last 5 years. It is something wonderful to see what we're doing and what we're doing in the community. And so what we want to do right now is we want to talk about the core values of Master Builders Academy. What are the principles that we believe in? What are the things that we live by? What are some of the things that we do each and every day in order to make us a better person? And then right after that, I'm going to talk to you about one specific core value that I live by day to day. So the first core value that we live by is, everybody say this: be punctual. All right, be punctual and be dependable. Yeah, that's a good one. Be excellent. Be detailed. Be passionate and motivated. Be optimistic and positive. Be hungry and studious. Be supportive. Be ethical. Oh, that's another good one. Be benevolent and be benevolent. Yeah, so those are our 10 core values that we live by. Those are the principles that we go by. These are the things that we live day to day. And you know what? I want to take out core value number 7, which I think fits what it fits what the subject matter is for today. And that is, again, that is be hungry and be studious. Now, I know everybody knows what it means to be hungry, but I don't know if you know there are 2 or 3 different definitions that go along with it. And the one that really stood out to me is the one that says having a strong desire or craving. Yeah, having a strong desire or craving. And so I can tell you, let me talk to you from my experience. When I first got into Master Builder, I was a guy, I was a little bit broken, if you will. I had just started a business, wasn't sure about this whole business aspect, never saw myself being a business owner. But in time and with the Master Builder core values, it is something that I began to live by, and being hungry and studious based on each success that I began to have, it really did begin to help me. And so I began to become hungry for success, hungry to help other people, hungry to be that person to teach and to lead and just be an all-around better person. And so I found out that this is one of the things that you have to do and have to be in order to move your life ahead day by day. The other thing that goes along with that is being studious. I went and got the definition for that. And it says something that's done deliberately and with a purpose in mind. So the way that I looked at that, I used to wonder, I said, that don't seem like it goes together, being hungry and studious. When you're hungry, you're looking for something. It's almost like you're on edge. I'm a little hungry right now, physically speaking. But I'm saying to you, it almost seemed like it as if it didn't go together. And I'm gonna try to give you an example after this, what I mean. So being studious is something that's being done deliberately and with a purpose in mind. And I remember when we started Safety Net LLC, we went to this particular meeting, and a guy said to us, he says, "You all not hungry enough. You're not hungry enough." And I said to myself, I was offended. How is he going to tell us that we're not hungry enough? We're getting up every morning. We're trying to run this business. We're getting this thing going. But what he was trying to say, one of the things that he was saying to us was that never, ever become comfortable with the success that you have accomplished never try to just maintain that level of success. If you're hungry and studious, you are deliberate about that thing. You are constantly, consistently striving to be better at each and every area and in each and every area of your life. And so when I look back at that thing, I said, okay, I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, I can see where he was coming from. And I see what he meant. It was a ploy. It was something to keep us motivated, to keep us moving forward, to never rest on the laurels. So what studious does, listen to this, what studious does is it balances out being hungry. For example, and I hope I don't sound corny, but I'm gonna say it to you like this. You have a person that's hungry and they want a certain type of meal. So when this particular meal that they want to make sure that the meal is the best, is as good as it could be. You know, like Mama's sweet potato pie. You want to make that lasagna dish as good as you can. So what you do with that is you take the time, you make sure you got the right ingredients, you make sure the oven's set at the best level that it can be at. So I'm hungry, but at the same time, I'm being deliberate about making sure that I have the proper ingredients in there. I'm making sure that it's set at the right temperature. I'm watching it. I'm maintaining it. I'm looking in the oven to make sure that it doesn't burn. So what am I saying? I'm saying to you, being hungry and studious, one of these core values that we're talking about, it can get you to a place, particularly when you're not resting on your laurels, you're not resting on the success that you already have, you're not resting until you've helped somebody else get to where you're trying to get to. And if you're always striving and you're always trying to help somebody else get there, then that thing is about remaining hungry and studious will always remain with you. And so because you were deliberate, because you had a certain purpose in mind, because you wanted to feed that hungry, when you brought the lasagna out, it was probably the best dish that you made up until that point. But you want to always try to make it better the next time. So listen, these core values, this particular subject matter that we're talking about, strategic investments, making massive incomes. It's hard to get to it if you're not hungry and if you're not studious. Thank you. Have a great day.
You gotta love Master Builders Academy core values. If you just do that, that's the formula of behaviors. That's the formula of mindset that's going to be able to help you get to a whole nother level. So thank you so much, Melvin Little Jr., for sharing that with us. Much success, continued to success to you in your businesses and your new ventures. Sherrod and Shanita Ledette, you are in for a treat. This is a power couple. We don't do this enough. We're bringing to you now a power couple. And they're like best friends, though. And so they're business owners, entrepreneurs, their family have a wonderful family, 2 girls. They have been in entrepreneurship for years. Shanita has DPS boutique, and it really has a one purpose, which is really to bring comfortable, affordable, fashionable clothing in all different sizes. And so I think that you will love to hear her mindset and perspective on investing. Also, you'll hear from a certified John Maxwell coach. We're bringing you to the big league, y'all, with Sherrod Ledette. He is focusing on leadership. He focuses on culture, engagement. He is a specialist when it comes to moving behaviors from here to there. And they're going to talk to you about an investor's mindset. We bring to you the power couple, Sherrod and Shanita Ledette. Glad you're here.
Hey everyone, hopefully you can hear me.
I'm back. I can't hear. All right.
And I apologize for that. But hey, look, I just want to introduce my wife real quick, man. She is the entrepreneur of entrepreneurs. She is the starting force of what and has brought us to where we are today. She was the first entrepreneur in the family, and she has grown her business over the past 8 to 10 years. I really forget count. But again, like John said, we're going to be talking about the strategic investor's mindset. And I think her value is going to come just from the mindset of what it took for her to get from point A to point B. So I'm just going to her so she can just tell you her journey as she built her business from day one over the past 10 years.
All right. Thank you, Sherrod. So basically from start to finish in a nutshell, or to where I am now, the mindset was we had a new baby girl and I just didn't want to pay $18 for a boutique bow. So I thought I can make that. And yeah.
Just the
All right. So, okay. So basically started out with one single hair bow, ended up into a business called Two Spoiled, Two Twos and Bows that was launched 10 years ago in January, and it evolved into birthday outfits, personalized t-shirts, and everything of that nature. And then it went from that, once the girls got a little older, to graphic t-shirt designs. That did very well, and I started to think, what could I do? I started to think, what could I do to keep everything going? All right, sorry about that. So then it came full stream. We started to do graphic t-shirt design together, screen printing, and that kind of thing led me to where I am today. In between that, I stopped working in healthcare to take care of the girls, and then we decided one day that I was going to go work in a retail store, which was, I ended up being the general manager in a matter of 4 weeks, from just a regular sales associate. 6 years later, that store closed. We still had t-shirts and graphic design, all that kind of stuff still going. Then fast forward to the actual store that I was the general manager of closing. It was whether or not I had to think, do I want to go back into, working for someone else, getting up super early, doing all this stuff for everyone else, for their business. And then we thought, well, I'm not going to go back to work. So I decided to stay home and work full time on my boutique, which turned into be Designs by Shay, which is DBS Boutique. It's been going up and going now for roughly, I don't know, four years, but I've been in business total of 10 and a half. So that's where I started the mindset of working for myself, getting up every single day and making it happen. It's not something that's easy. Everybody, of course, thinks that if you own your own business, that you can kind of just do whatever you want to. But the only way that things happen is if you make them happen. So it's been a ride. It's been great. Of course, I have Sherrod with me, so he's been a tremendous help, and I'm very appreciative of that. So that's pretty much all I have.
the other one.
All right, hopefully y'all can hear me. So that was my wife coming at you just really, and I thought it was important to hear from her, just again from the mindset perspective. So I'm going to talk to you guys real briefly about the strategic investors mindset. So even as I was looking at this presentation and as in preparing today, I was just thinking about the focus and the topic, right? Of again, strategic investing equaling massive income. So when I was thinking about the topic and discussion, I basically was like, okay, so what from a mindset perspective, how can I really put this together, right? So I thought about it and I came up with this kind of approach and my contribution to this topic. So to have the most strategic investment, the investment is really in yourself, right? We have to invest in ourselves to reach our full potential, which then allows us to equal as individuals becoming ATMs, right? ATMs producing mass income. So the first investment is in yourself, so you can then become an ATM producing mass income. So what do I mean by that when I say ATM? ATM basically is this: attitude, tactic, mindset, right? Attitude, tactic, mindset, right? So what do we know? We hear about people all the time becoming individuals becoming self-made millionaires, right? They want to, they whatever they're doing, and you're hearing about them, you're seeing them on all the social media and different things of these people becoming self-made millionaires, right? We might even have some self-made millionaires on there. I know Dejan right now, the way that he's going to be that self-made millionaire, right? So the question is like, what are they doing, right? What's about them that allows them to do that, to reach this level of success? Quite simply, it's the mindset, right? So the strategic investor's mindset, right? It's all about how we think about ourselves. So the number one thing is the attitude. How do you see yourself, right? I believe John, when he opened up, he talked about the belief system, right? How do you see yourself? How do you believe in yourself? My wife talked about, again, just the change in the attitude that she had to shift to in order to open up her business, right? She had to turn around and make a decision at that particular point on what she wanted to do, right? So there are two different types of mindsets that we have. We have a growth mindset and we have a fixed mindset. Basically, in other words, a poverty mindset and a wealth mindset. Okay, so here's what I want us to look at. So what's a fixed mindset? A fixed mindset is the assumption held by people who perceive their talents and abilities to be set traits. Meaning what? That it is what it is. It's what I have. I can't go no further than what my ability already allows me to have, right? Whereas a growth mindset is about the assumption held by people who believe that their abilities can be developed through dedication, effort, and hard work. That's the difference. Fixed, you're set. You can't see past where you're at. You just don't believe that you have the ability to become something more. Whereas growth, in other words, is all about, hey, I have abilities, but I know I can develop myself into something more. So let's bring that home. What does that mean when it becomes strategic investor's mindset? A strategic investor's mindset is the same concept, right? That again, if I can learn what I need to learn to be able to make the right decisions when I go into investing, then I should be able to yield something. I should be able to, again, get those capital gains that Dejan talked about. But I have to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And when we think about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, just a couple of things. I know that's small on your screen, but a growth mindset, I can learn anything I want to. Where a fixed mindset is, I'm either good at it or I'm not. Okay, so let's look at it this way. A wealth mindset, when I'm frustrated, I persevere. A poverty mindset, when I'm frustrated, I give up. That's the difference, right, between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is that, hey, I can't go nowhere. A growth mindset is, where are my opportunities at? So if we go to slide two, I think it's very important for us to really look at this perspective of growth mindset to find out, what is your mindset? Where are you at? How do you see things? How do you see yourself, right? So the number one thing that I think we need to understand is it's all about our perspective. It's our perspective on intelligence and the role it plays in our growth and how we achieve our goals. So goals is important, right? Here's what I know when it comes to leadership. Leadership is about influence, but the key to leadership It's really about how to be able to set goals and then how to obtain goals. So what am I saying with that? When we're talking about strategic investment mindset, what is your goal? Where are you going? How are you going to get there? What do you want to do? What are you trying to achieve? Right? Again, one of the 7 habits of effective people, right? The number one that I love in those 7 values is that of start with the end in mind. If you know where you're going, then you're going to be able to figure out the road to get there. Right? So to reach that next level of growth, we have to be intentional about our pursuit and reaching that next level of potential. Right? So what is your mindset? How are you growing? Look, this is what I also know. The most successful people share a common trait and a level of self-awareness. Self-awareness is critical, right? It's critical when we think about just reaching that next full potential of who we are and how we look at things, right? So when we're going to that next level, the number one thing we have to do is we got to think differently. One of the things my mom told me when I was young, and I still live by it today, and we talk about it, and she laughs, but it's true. She told me, she said, boy, if there's nothing else you do, you better think, right? You better think. Because again, when you think, you have the ability to shift, to change, to grow, right? So what does that mean? When we think differently, we have the opportunity to understand, which means that we can understand that our current circumstances does not have to be our permanent reality, right? Our current circumstances don't have to be our permanent reality, right? That we're not changed to our current capabilities, right? That fixed mindset. Right. So here's also what I want you to know, that those who understand that their natural behavior produces or natural behavior preferences are more likely to pursue the right opportunities, the right way, at the right time, to result in the desires that they're looking for. So we have to be able to shift our mindset, especially when we're thinking about investing, right? Gaining the knowledge and the information to understand what it is that we're trying to achieve at that time, right? So when we're adopting that of a growth mindset, we're intentional about our growth. So I have a question for you. Do you have a development plan? Do you have a growth plan? Is that a part of your toolbox, right? Setting the goals, making sure that you have your goals in place and in mind. But in order to do that, you have to have the right mindset. Being intentional, it's the key. That's how you get there, right? So do you have an intentional growth plan? Okay, so when we have a growth mindset, our brains become active when we are informed of what we could do better the next time. But when we have a fixed mindset, our brains become active when we are informed of our performance. Basically, when we're graded or there's a score, right? If we're comparing it to something, whereas growth, we're all about, okay, what did I do? How can I make it better? Okay, but again, like I mentioned here, self-awareness is critical. It's critical to the level of understanding who you are, what your capabilities are, right? That leads to your attitude, your belief system, right? Your goals is your tactics. How am I going to get to where I'm trying to get to? Starting with the end in mind. The same thing is investment. What is your goal? How much do you want to make? Do you want to be a millionaire? Great. How do I get there? What is my plan to achieve that? That's your tactic. But first, you got to believe that you can achieve it. All right, let's go to the last slide so I can get out of your guys' way. I'm hoping this is being of value to you guys. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is, again, this concept of evolution leads to elevation. Evolution leads to elevation. What do I mean by that? First thing is this, and I know we've heard this before, but I want to kind of just give you a little bit more context and a little bit different insight to this, right? It's said that knowledge is power. And here's the reality. It's been proven, right? Knowledge is power. But the true reality, or the true key to knowledge being power, is action. Action, right? I actually should have changed ATM to action, tactic, and mindset. That might be a different time. If John lets me come back on to do it, we'll look at it from that approach. But again, action. Knowledge is only power when it becomes action. Otherwise, it's only potential power, right? Why do I say that? Evolution leads to elevation, right? Because again, if knowledge isn't acted upon,
then it's no good than the person that has it, right? It's about a tool, right? Knowledge is a tool. What tools do you have? How are you using that tool, right? What is your understanding of that tool? How do you see the tool? So the question is okay, evolution is the application of information. What does that mean? We evolve with knowledge. We move from one state to the next when we gain information and knowledge. On these different calls, when I watched the last episode, this episode, all the people that are coming on and talking, Dejan has been bringing great information and knowledge. But again, if you don't apply the information, it's no good to you. So application is key when it talks about evolution to elevation. Why? Because again, we then evolve. We become who we want to become to achieve what it is that we want to achieve. And that's all about attitude. And that's then connected to our tactic, which is our plan, right? And then the last thing is this, elevation. So evolution leads to elevation. Elevation is the implementation of information. What does that mean? That again, I now have to act upon the information that it is I received, right? So basically, let's look at it like this. What was once my ceiling now becomes my floor. Why? Because now I've taken the information and the knowledge that I received, acted upon it, and it allowed me to move from my current state to the next state. That's such great information, right? So how are we applying the information that we're receiving? How are we using the tools? We have tools, but how do you see the tools? How do you use the tools, right? ATMs, we have to have the right attitude, we have to have the tactics, and we have to have a mindset. So I want to close with this and look at it like this. Again, we're talking about investment, right? So my investment into you guys is this. Let's change our mindset to see what our full capabilities, what our full capacity is to reach our full potential. I know we can reach another level, but the question is how are we using the tools, right? Are we taking the information? Are we moving, and are we being strategic in how we're going after what it is that we want to achieve, right? Becoming ATMs, producing mass income. So I'm gonna just leave you with this attitude, tactics, mindset. Let's become ATMs.
Okay, he did that. He did that. He told you to become an ATM. I want to become an ATM. Attitude, tactic, mindset. And then now Professor Sherrod has put out there an invitation to come back. And I'm letting you know that's happening so you can do the remix, which is action, tactic, and mindset. So glad to have Sherrod and Shanita. Thank you so much. They're going to be at the after party. So make sure you're on the Master Builder Academy mailing list on the email. If not, put your information into the chat right now, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook. Make sure you put it in there so we can add you to the mailing list. We'll send you the Zoom link. When you get the Zoom link, you'll be able to ask more detailed questions and follow up, and maybe even be able to get some contact information. And that's what I suggest for you. So stay tuned for the after party after this. Next up, we're going to introduce Susan, who's going to introduce Lisa Phillips. And so Susan is probably one of the best marketers I've ever met. And so when you meet her, you're going to love her. I'll let her tell more about her story. Come on up, Susan. And we're glad to have you with this great introduction.
Good morning, Master Builders. I'm so excited about our next speaker. My name is Susan Newhoff, and by the way, I'm a board member at Master Builders Academy, and I work for Red 7E, which is an amazing ad agency downtown here in Louisville. Now, you're going to remember our next speaker from our Economic Hope Forum. Lisa Phillips taught us all about real estate, remember? She lost her job as an electrical engineer, home went into foreclosure. She was left with this $35,000 condo. She figured out how to renovate it while she lived in it, while on unemployment, stretching everything out. And then she ended up renting that out, bought more properties, rented those out. She's still doing all that. She's still teaching us all about how you can be successful in real estate. But now she's become an expert not to mention very rich, on cryptocurrency. So when she and I first touched base about her speaking on the cryptocurrency market, here's what she told me. My goal is for 2 million Black people to invest in cryptocurrency within the next 2 years. Maybe you can assist me with that goal. You betcha. Here's what I want you to know about Lisa Phillips. She wants you to be successful. Let me say that again. She wants you to be successful. She and I spoke at length about the current state of the world, and that if we all invested in the stock market, in real estate, in cryptocurrency, all the stuff we've been teaching you at Master Builders Academy, we can collectively lift our society without politicians, without celebrities, without all the people who think they know what's good for us. She wants to empower investors that make the world a better place. And I think that's all you need to hear, because that's what we want too. So let's give a very enthusiastic Master Builders Academy to Lisa Phillips.
Hey, everybody. So thank you so much, Susan. Nice to finally meet you. I have 20 minutes. So other times I'd sit here and talk a little bit more, but I want to get into the presentation. Just FYI, before we start, I did a free workshop on my channel, like got 1,000 people watched. It was 3.5 hours long. I was taking questions, and it was like a really thick overview. So I will say this is very condensed, okay? And there is more for you if you want to get more detailed information at a different pace, okay? And this is just an overview of what's going on and why this is going to be the fastest and easiest reparations than trying to get them knuckleheads in Washington to do it for us, okay? Like, if you want reparations for our people, like, get it this way. And it's for so much love. And I'm going to show you the mechanics of how the money's flowing and why it works. So let's get into it. All right. So I'm just going to go over overall how I made about $130,000+. All this, honestly, since I made this like 3 weeks ago, this has went up to like 150,000 because that's how crypto works. Just doing really easy strategies over the last 3 years and how I want you to do it as well. And I'll break this down. Next slide. So we're going to go an introduction, how to choose an exchange, sort of a wealth strategy and mindset, because just like the previous two speakers, your mindset has to be set up right. Because if your mindset is down here, that's as far as you're going to get. So I'm going to open you up to a bigger idea. And that's where my real estate investing background really made a difference in this. Passive income strategies, how to focus on 1, 2, or 3 areas only so you don't get overwhelmed, mass adoption, and next steps. Next slide. Okay, welcome. So over the last 3 years, so I got into Bitcoin when everyone else did in 2017. Now in 2014 and 15, I thought about it, tried to mine, but it was a little too complicated, so I got out of it. But in 2017, everyone saw Bitcoin go from like $3,000 to $20,000. So I invested during that time. I invested like when it was at 4, and I was like, "Ooh, and then it rose to like 7." I was like, "I'm making money." So I put a little bit more in at like 8, and then it kept rising. I was like, "Ooh, I'm making more money. Let me put more in." And then I put more, and what happened was it crashed. Okay, so like I show you, I bought here at the top of that market. Now I was holding all that change I had just put into the system, and I was like, I'm not selling this. But 2017 was something for me. It said mass adoption is here. I didn't think it could go from Reddit and the tech world into the mainstream. But even then, even before that 2017, I believed in what the project was trying to do. And I'm all about freedom. I'm not about political solutions. I'm about our solutions. You got to trust and believe me. I've gotten further and faster just relying on us than anyone else outside of our community, period. And if I get more people to get that realization, we'll stop our wiring from always going, well, why don't we just vote? Or that's why we got to look to someone else. Or we have to, maybe if they acted differently, we have to cut that wiring and programming out. It's dependency and go, we can do it. So I got it in at 2017. I believed in it. And I had put all this money in because it kept going up and I kept buying in. I was like, I'm holding. I held this money for 3 years. You didn't hear anything from me. But since I had believed in it, and I was like, that was my signal that mass adoption is going to take place. And we're going to talk about the different things to look out for. I was like, we're holding. And I was like, let me put $200 a month and see if I can get my first Bitcoin. So I literally just did $200 a month. I was not doing too much other than that for 3 years. And then, and then I look up the other month and we're on that bull run cycle, which I now know is built into the matrix. That's built into the system. So now that we know, we can ride that wave. And I went from about total, maybe about 15K I put in total over the last 3 years with that $200 a month to $130,000, $40,000. And it goes up every day. If I did nothing else, my 1.2 Bitcoin and all the other coins I bought that have risen so drastically in value will take me to millionaire status. If I do nothing, well, of course I'm doing everything now because it's been amazing. So we can go to the next slide, but I really want to tell that story to go. I had diamond hands and I had belief. And it's amazing when you're just really convicted that this is where things are going and this is the future, even when everyone else feels dumb and you feel a little dumb and you put this money in and you're just sitting there holding the bag, just like in stocks. You don't realize the loss until you sell, but also having faith and trust and knowing in your gut that this is the future and betting on that, right? It can take you over the finish line. So 3 years, diamond hands, there's a strong stomach. And now not only have I'm 150K richer, but now I'm understanding this market to an even greater depth that I can now teach others. So I did this with easy, simple. It's called dollar cost averaging. That means just like in the stocks of your mutual fund, you know how you send $250 from your paycheck, you set it and forget it. That's the investor mindset. You can easily just do that. Okay. Like you don't have to be complicated with this. I recommend, I don't care if it's $10 a week. You need to start putting it in this market because this is going to be our reparations. That $10 is going to be 1,000 within a year. And I'm not even exaggerating. We've seen those gains, right? We've seen 100x gains. And I'm going to explain to you why the money flows. So this is like, I looked into my balance sheet. I was like, what? How did I get this money? And so it's really cool. This is my 401k money. So it's not like I'm using this, but I want to show you like, this is real. Like, and on the next slides, I'm going to show you why this is happening, right? Like it's not magic. It is scarcity built into the system. It's transparency built into the system. The cryptocurrency is anti-corruption currency. You can't just print money like they've been print. You can't just do that and make us responsible. It is finite. It is transparent. You can choose to get in or you can't, but there's a lot of money flowing into it. And I'm going to show you there's more money flowing into the cryptocurrency than into the stock market. So you got to understand where the money flows, the value rises. Where the money leaves, you're going to be left holding the bag. And now we need to be savvy enough, and this comes from my real estate investing background. We need to be savvy enough to know where the money's flowing to. And that's how I based all my strategies off of. So if you look, I just got these last night. So if you look at the Dow Industrial Average, the NASDAQ, and the S&P, if you add up all of their 24-hour trading volumes combined, it's like $3.9 billion, right? So $3.9 billion in the last 24 hours flowed through all three of our major exchanges, okay? So let me show you what flowed through the cryptocurrency market in the last 24 hours when I made this slide. Next slide. So if you look through, and I ordered it by like trading volume, that doesn't even match the fourth cryptocurrency. So all the money that flows through like those three major exchanges doesn't even touch the top three in cryptocurrency. And mind you, this is only at 15% American adoption, let alone the global participation. I couldn't get those numbers, but I was able to find the numbers for Americans. They said about 14.9% of Americans hold cryptocurrency. And the stock market can't even touch the top 3 or 4 when it comes to how much money is flowing through the system. So what does that tell you? That means the money is fine in the stock market, but the real big money, that global money, is in the crypto space. And the crypto space has finite scarcity, so it increases the value majorly. So when I look at my portfolio and I put 15K in total and I have 150, like that makes sense. This is global money going outside of the fiat system into this. That is why you get such huge highs because of the scarcity, and you can choose which currency you're in. And I want to show you this again because the money is flowing in crypto. So if you're in stocks, that's fine. Just understand people like me and institutions like me, once we get a taste of the returns, the money, and the extreme, and the freedom that comes with crypto, we're not going back. I actually cashed out a stock market account to do this. And if I'm doing it, who else is going to do it? So you got to remember, you always have to watch the money flows. And I really learned that in real estate investing, because when we buy real estate, you have to see where the money's flowing. So I want to show you this. This isn't magic money. It's all this money, millions and billions, going into a finite resource. And that's how it's built to battle. And I'm looking at the Satoshi Nakamoto. He said in his papers, because I'm reading the Discord when he first started on the cryptography mailing list. He says the sooner you get in, the more money you make. It's built for your beliefs and trust system. To jump into this system is going to reward you in the end. So next slide. Okay, so I'm just gonna make this real quick because a lot of people are like, what do I do? Where do I buy? There are so many places to buy. I recommend these places because they're the easiest. You own your crypto, meaning you can trade it, you can lend it, you can move it to other places. It is yours. You can put it on your own hardware wallet and they have no say. I recommend Cash App. If you don't really have really good internet access, I recommend Coinbase and I recommend Binance US. There are tons of places you can go. Of course, these aren't perfect, but they're great. They're very easy. They're very intuitive. And once you get comfortable, then we can start talking about other places to hold it. But I think for beginners, if you don't know where to start, just start here. Coinbase has this FDIC type insurance for anybody who loses assets on their servers. Binance US is pretty secure, and you can put as much, make sure you do your SMS, make sure you do like an authenticator, and we can get into that later, but you can make them very secure. You can hold as much as you're comfortable holding on, like, a normal bank, maybe half that before you have to worry about it. I diversify my money amongst all of them. So in case, anything happens to this one, that's not where all my money's at. So I'm very diversified, but these are the easiest to get started. Go to the next slide, please. So I want to talk about wealth mindset. And I find because of my success as a real estate investor, combined with my success as an online business person, I have an insight and view of wealth and wealth materials that other people don't have. So a lot of people don't know this. So hold on tight. So when the currency can cost anywhere from, 0.005 cents per token all the way up to $55,000 per token. Okay. And it was built into the system. So at different stages, you should treat them differently. And I say this because a lot of people are selling their Bitcoin that other people want, but people want that. It's scarce. So I want to go through this. And so when it's under $5, that's a currency. So for instance, I literally have a debit card that has Dogecoin or some other coins or gold and silver backed coins as my spending money. It literally, it's a debit card. It's on my phone. I hooked it up to my Amazon, my Target, and it doesn't have wild fluctuations and it costs a lot less, right? But when it starts to get to the $5 to $1,000 range per coin, you really need to move that into a passive income generating. You can stake it. You can provide, you can go to the exchanges and say, hey, you need more coins on your system so you can easily and more quickly transact business. I will let my coins stay on your exchange staked and not move them for 7 days, 5 days, 10 days. And you can use them as you need to on your exchange. I'll provide you liquidity. And in return, you will give me 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50, 60, 70% interest. I'm not joking. I am not joking. So when it's more than $5 for $1,000, you really need to look at those being your passive income and interest earning, right? You can also lend against those amounts, right? So if you have $5,000 in crypto, you can take a $1,000, $2,000 loan against it, pay it off, keep loaning against it as the value rises. Okay. But once it passes $1,000 to $40,000, that's when you're getting into, it's like virtual real estate. It's digital real estate. You need to do passive income, tap into equity and not sell. So for instance, because of the work I did the last 3 years, I was able to get like 1.25 Bitcoin, right? Some of us will never see that. Some of us will. But because of that, I'm never selling my Bitcoin because right now there's a reason you see Nissan, Toyota, Amazon's doing trial tests, Overstock. They're all like, we'll take Bitcoin now, right? In the last 3 months. You want to know why? Because they want it, because there's no more left. And most of the people, if you look at the charts, who have Bitcoin are holding it. And so here's the funny part. They're like, Lisa, are you ever going to take profit? At this moment, I'm not, I have some thoughts about when we get to the top of the market, if I might take some, but for the most part, no, because they want a finite resource right now. Now that institutional investors found out what Lisa did for the last 3 years, they are buying about 2,000 Bitcoin and other currencies a day, like Bitcoin a day. and only 800 a day are mined. So, there is going to become a point where if you sell it, you can't get it back and they're not going to give it back. So at that point, you lend against it, you loan. And one example before we keep going. I work with investors and I work with people who are in New York, and they tell me their stories about their parents selling their Brooklyn brownstone when it was like 250,000 because they had bought it for 30, right? So, which was a lot of money for them. But those same Brooklyn brownstones are now selling for 1.2 to 1.7 million, right? So if they had the skills to rent it out and keep hold of it that whole time and maybe tap into the equity to get their own house, but while renting it out, they would have been able to ride it all the way up to the top. So I tell people in my community, we're riding to the top. I'm riding to the top. So I'm riding Bitcoin until it's $1 million, not selling when it's 250,000, which they said they project that might happen this year when you look at all the money flows and how it's shooting the price up. So I might have some nuance about it, but this class is a little bit short for that. If you join me in my other social media, as we go through these different strategies, I'll share what the traders are doing and how that might modify it. But for the most part, I'm going to 1.2 million. I'm not going to, I'm not selling at 250. And that's the difference between a rich mindset and a wealth mindset. So you just heard from the previous speaker, he got you to rich. Well, I've been immersed in the wealth mindset. So for the last, 8 years, so I can't not think of holding on to an asset that you then pass down. But all the meanwhile, you can earn interest on it. You can lend against it, just like you can a high value house. So next slide. And quickly, this is just dollar cost averaging. That means you just put the same amount in. You don't look at the swings. I didn't care if it went like this. There's some nuance to that, but for the most part, I didn't care. Just 200 a month went in one time a month. That's it. So it's called dollar cost averaging. And investors do this, and I really recommend this for you just getting started because it's like you just set it and forget it and net positive, just like stocks. Listen, eventually you're going to be higher up. Same thing in cryptocurrency. It's not disappointed. It actually is executing per the plan. I'm an engineer. I have an electrical engineering degree. So I love a flawless execution of a plan and a program. And this is performing exactly the way it should be. So DCA, I think, is the best. If you have $50, just put your $50 in every month and call it a day. You don't have to be super involved in all of this. Next slide. But that's DCA. You're going to hear that a lot because it's like, are you a trader or an investor? If you're an investor, just dollar cost average. Just send your money in, set it and forget it. You're going to be net up. You're going to be net up like 10 times too. So, and within 3 years, it has a very quick cycle. It's not like stocks where you have to wait 30 years for that kind of rapid gain. So what creates value for cryptocurrency? Does it have technical value? Right? What is the actual technology it's bringing that's making our life better? Does it have monetary value? And I'm going to go to example of that. Does it have use or utility value? Or does it have community value? Next slide. I have my own due diligence that I do that's pretty deep and intensive, but for the most part, to give you guys an overview, I look at 4 major areas to see if I want to go into this. So does it have technical value? So some of this technology is absolutely amazing. They're going faster. They're making money payment systems faster. And then you don't have to pay the 3% that you pay with Visa, right? And I have my own business. So every time I pay that 3%, I look at my account and I'm like, dang, they just got $100, they just got $100, they got $30, whatever. Something I didn't want to pay them, right? So it's really cool because you can see, okay, this technology, not only can you do a payment system, but you pay less than 1% in fees, and it's just as secure. And you're like, okay, I can start using this. This is technology that is better than the current technology in the current world, right? So it's not just a coin that has value. It actually is bringing usable, innovative tech that it will make it so when they get this system up and running, I'm completely switching over because it's going to save me 2.5%, 3% every day. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Does it have direct monetary value? There's things like Bitcoin, which has always been a store of value, but there's stable coins. There are coins that you literally use that's tied to the dollar or the British pound or the euro or the Australian dollar. And like I said, when you're buying and selling with crypto, you don't want necessarily wild swings. You want a stable asset that you can use on the system. So that has a huge value because when I'm transferring money back and forth, I don't need wild swings. So every single currency has its lane, right? To be used to make you money or to make something better. Does it have community value? Everyone talks about Dogecoin like it doesn't Doge has a community, right? Like, and it's always going to have a community, and they love it. And it's a joke coin, but they love the jokes, and that's going to facilitate. It's going to continue to have value and just keep escalating and escalating to how they perceive it. So even though it doesn't have utility, well, I don't know, everyone's now accepting it, so it does have utility. But people think it's a joke. Well, it has a strong community, and that's not going anywhere. You have to take those things into account. For instance, gamer coins like Engine, there's a whole community now of millions of gamers who are using Engine token to buy things in their video games. Y'all know how big the video game market is. That has a built-in value regardless of what you think about it. It already has use. It already has a community. You can understand that that has a value that's outside of, does it directly do tech or have a monetary transaction? And does it have a use or utility value, right? So like one of the things Aave is pretty big one out there. That's lending platform. That was the one that I got in pretty early. And then I got it for like, I don't know, it's like $500 a token. I think I bought in 30 of them for like $100 like in 2017. And then it blew up to like, you know, 500 a token because at that time, even 3 years ago, they had people using it. It was lending and financing. And one thing I know as a real estate investor, I know decentralized finance. I understand how to vet, like, this is a good product. This is going to be very useful in the future, and it will replace what we're currently doing now even better. So Stellar XLM is a faster and cheaper way to move currency around. XMR is a privacy coin. So some of these directly have a value that has its own integral worth. So those are sort of some of the ways that we do our due diligence, but I want you to understand each cryptocurrency has its own thing. And when you understand it, you can place its value and how you can utilize it or work with it. Next slide. So I recommend for new investors, like, just pick one or two industries, okay? Like, I've been in this space 3 years. It's a lot to learn. We only have so many hours in a day. Pick one. So if you don't want to go that deep at all and you don't have time and you just want to set it, forget it, just buy the top Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin. They are the background. Oh, Susan, yeah, if you want to take up email addresses, that's great. So just pick one. If you don't want to have any thoughts, they're like, Lisa, I don't want to think about this. Just tell me. I'm like, you can't go wrong with Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin. Now, listen, I have a whole 3-hour workshop on why I like those coins. And you can see those later if you like, okay? We have 20 minutes. I'm halfway done. So I can't go into the why, even though I do have very deep technical and analysis on it that I teach. But but sometimes my family members are like, just tell me what to do. And I'm like, all right, you can't go wrong with that. And there's very valid reasons for it, but just do that. You got to, and I don't say this lightly. I usually, I show, you just got to trust me until you get your bearings. Just get in now, because this rewards the first movers. Okay. We also went through some fires too. Like, I'm holding all that money for all that time. And I'm like, oh, I know it'll go up, but I don't know when. And I actually thought it might be 10 years from now before we got mass adoption, not 2020. But, we've been through some fires. So we've been rewarded, but we also took risks. But that's what first movers do. People like me, we don't risk more than we can afford. We take some hits, but net we are up. And that is what I'm here to say. I took some hits, but I'm still here and I'm standing strong. We can do this. And I can teach you guys how to avoid my mistakes. Okay. So, but you can just focus on exchange coins. That's something most people out there don't do. I do. So if there's like Binance, I got in on that because it was $5. I went to the site. It was so hard to get crypto. Binance in 2017 was so easy and straightforward. I was like, this is great. And everybody gets discounts if they have Binance token, which is BNB. I'm like, okay, let me get this Binance token because it's smart. Everyone's going to be getting the reduced fees. Everyone's going to use Binance to do it. This is a great exchange compared to the others. So let me buy 90 of these. And those rose to $300 each. Okay. So these little things that are just no brainers are and I go into how I vet this, of course, deeper in my workshops, but just to exchange coins. Coinbase is going to have a token eventually. Just buy that. Okay. Cash App, if they get a token, just come on. It's solid. It works. You use it. If you just stuck with that, you're going to be okay. And you're going to ride it. It's like buying the Dow when it was $500 and it's $31,000. If you just do that, you can be okay. So lending and banking, I'm really into that because I'm a real estate investor. So I understand what is going on now, and I can see a technology. Oh, that's way better than what we're doing. Or that's completely going to disrupt and replace this when it gets more stable. So it's easy for me to do that. But if you're a gamer, you need to be all over these gaming coins. I don't game like that. I love games, but like they take up too much time and I don't have, so I don't play them because I don't like getting addicted to games. But if you're about games, you need to be all over the gaming. So I bought some virtual land in the Sandbox, which already has a built-in user base, so that when my daughter, who's 4, who loves watching Roblox and Minecraft on TV, when she's like 8 or 9 or 10, I'm gonna be like, hey, I bought this for you 5 years ago. It's now super valuable. You can build in this Roblox Minecraft type world to build your own game. Right? Like I'm literally doing this for my daughter with a 6-year, 7-year time lapse where I'm like, if you're going to be building on something, I'd rather you build on land I bought in this virtual reality that's really valuable. And, you don't have to pretend anymore. You can be the game maker. But if you're into gambling, sports, and wagers, do that. I don't do that stuff. But if you do, that needs to be like something you're going to understand about which casinos, which online gaming platforms or esports wagering are really good. You're going to have that instinctive understanding because you come from that background. Art, music, and NFTs. There's some people who focus on that. I'm not an artist. Staking, interest, and dividend earning. I'm all about passive income. So that's what I was telling you about, like providing liquidity. I'm getting bigger into that and I'm teaching about it. Infrastructure or land or virtual real estate. Next slide, because we're coming to an end. So if you had $100 and you're like, what coins should I buy? I would break it down with $15 Bitcoin, $15 Ethereum, $20 Litecoin, Binance, Lend, Celsius, Stellar. Take a picture of that if you want, or I can post that up somewhere else. We are running out of time, so I'm just going to have to go buy that. But there are very, very good reasons I chose those, and I go into those in my workshops. Next slide, because we're coming to an end. And so this is the mass adoption pyramid. So most of these coins, not all, have a finite scarcity aspect to it. Satoshi said, you get in, this rewards those who get in early. So we are looking for mass adoption and we're going cashless, people. We're going digital. So this is right on time. So when it can be used as a currency, that's a mass adoption factor. Is it a vehicle to create wealth? It absolutely is the best vehicle to create wealth that I've ever seen. And I love real estate investing, which has been, I'm not saying it's replacing it, but I'm sort of saying it's sort of replacing it. And most millionaires are from real estate than anything else. And I'm saying this has bigger ability. Is there innovation and use? Is it useful tech? Yes, you're seeing that every day. Our country and governments use it. Yeah, Venezuela is going all in. Belarus is starting a mining farm. Any third world country needs to get on crypto. That is the way they're going to be dominant than other countries, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And global adoption, it's already globally adopted. Next slide. And freedom. This is about anti-corruption. This is about freedom. I'm going to say this. Everybody was so appalled at them, storming the Capitol building. Well, when are you going to be appalled? Because I'm done with the corruption. I'm done. They do the bare minimum with our money and they give us the least. I'm done. And this is about freedom. This is about, you can't just print money and keep me on the hook with our national debt. This is about, it is what it is. You get it in when you want to, and you cannot manipulate it. Well, they're going to try, but it was made for it to be in our hands. That is very big right now. They're doing everything they can to control every little aspect of our life, even trying to ban this. You can't do it. We're going to run around you. So every time they delist a coin and say we can't have it, we're going to figure it out. You can't stop this. So just remember, they're not on our side. They have their own agendas, but this was really made to be the freedom of ourselves. So next slide, the last slide. So next up, I would join my Facebook group. It's Bitcoin Strategies for Beginners and Normal People. I'll put this in the chat afterwards. I start investing $300 to $500 a month, strategically spending your crypto. And I go over how I do that very strategically, what coins I keep it in to do my spending, and how I get little pumps and every now and then. So the value of my money rises and why it's not in the bank anymore. 95% of my money is in crypto. I only have very little spending money in the bank. Passive income strategies and staking and getting 50% APR. That's why, if you have $100 a month, what to do, doing your due diligence and doing the technical background on finding out about cryptocurrency, obtaining hard to acquire coins easily because they are delisting some because the US government's being very heavy handed, and I do live workshops. So I'm more than welcome you guys to attend. So that was a quick overview. Okay. I go deep on all these and they're 2 to 4 hour workshops. So, but I don't want to overwhelm you. I want us to see the picture and the money, why this makes sense and why This is the greatest wealth transfer in history, and it's on you if you join early or join later, but you're going to join. And I am done.
All right. Now, hey, everybody. Lisa, that was tremendous. That was wonderful. That was worth the price of admission. And so, for all of you who might be like me, next year, we're not going to have a story about how we did not invest in crypto in 2022. We're going to say we followed up. We said we got a stimulus check. We're going to take some stimulus money, and then we're going to start with that, and we're going to invest it every single month. I'm committed to that. If you would do the same thing, I want you to put it into the chat. If you have not heard of this book, it's a classic. This is what made me such a Lisa Phillips fan, is Investing in Rental Properties for Beginners. She breaks it down just like she broke it down with the cryptocurrency. Make sure you use those links, follow her, make sure that you are getting a chance to get connected. Next up, we're going to be able to have a panel. Lisa's going to be on it amongst others, but at the same time, in the after party. Don't forget the after party. That's when you're going to be able to dig in. That's when you're going to be able to connect at an even deeper level. So I'm going to introduce our host who will be facilitating this panel. That's Dana Spencer and Melvin Little Jr. Why don't y'all come on onto the scene? So glad to have you. So glad to have you. All right. I see Dana. If you don't know, she's a real estate investor, entrepreneur, pampered chef, and much, much more. Of course, you already met Melvin Little Jr. earlier. We have Professor Sherrod Dillette, and I believe his wonderful partner in crime is going to be joining as well. So if you all can jump on, I see Sherrod. All right. I believe we have Lisa Phillips, who's going to be back with us after that tremendous presentation. All right. Thank you so much, Anita. How you doing? Glad you on. All right. And then I'll leave it over to you all to get started. And thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing more of this great stuff. Oh, Jimmy Ray. Hold on. I forgot Jimmy Ray. Jimmy, forgive me, man. All right. So you got Jimmy Ray. Now, he has been working in the industry for years on stocks and investing. He's helped many people secure a financial future. And so Jimmy Ray's here. And so he's going to be able to excite you and also stimulate you on different reasons why you should invest for the future. All right. Much good stuff to come. I'll see y'all in a minute.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate that. My goodness, what excellent information that we've heard on today so far. And again, to the listening audience, this is Master Builder Academy. Michael Ford Jr. is the president, John Mays, vice president. We're doing as a group, doing great things in the community. Hey, you would have to go somewhere else and you would have to pay a $200 registration fee, $250, whatever it may be, to get the information that you are getting on today and every other Saturday. So again, we want to introduce our guests, the Ladettes and Jimmy Ray and Lisa Phillips. Listen, I want to start this off, and I want to ask of you, Sherrod, I want to ask this question. You gave some great information as it relates to investing in yourself, having the right attitude, having the right tactics, and certainly having the right mindset. Let me ask you this question. Did you start off with a fixed mind or a growth mind? And then just part two of that is, I'm 60 years old. It's too late for me. Tell me it's not too late for me in those words, based on the fact of the type of mind that I need to have.
Right. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, brother, it is not too late. Right. It's not too late. Right. And I think it's a great question. And I actually anticipated that question. Right. So that's one of the things I've kind of asked myself, like, did I have a fixed mindset? Did I have a growth mindset? And I would answer it that I think at different stages, I think we probably had both. Right.
Okay.
And that's why I said that growth is intentional. right? Having a growth plan is intentional because that allows you to really understand that if I really put my effort in understanding what it is that I need to do, where I'm trying to go to, or where I'm trying to grow to, that then I can then focus on that of a growth mindset, right? But I think we both have, or we deal with both aspects of it. I would definitely say, based on where I'm at now, based on where I was, I probably had more of a fixed mindset, right? Because again, that's going back to the attitude, right? Attitude, tactic, mindset. And again, attitude is all about belief. How do you believe in yourself? How do you see yourself, right? And when you change your attitude, right, you change the way that you think, right? Here's the other thing. Then you change the way other people see you and how they think about you. Because here, let's be realistic, right? The reality of it is our mindset is based on, again, how we see ourselves and then how other people see ourselves and that reflection, right? So then again, so one of the things that I love when I try to help people to understand just how to grow and develop themselves, again, I think John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth is impactful, right? Because he talks about the law of intentionality. He talks about the law of awareness, the law of the mirror, right? The number one thing that you want to do when it comes to growth, you got to look yourself in the mirror, see who you are, see where you're at and where you're trying to go. Again, start with the end in mind, right? So I think we start, maybe we all start probably at that fix, and then we kind of grow into that growth. But I think the only way you're able to stay within that growth mindset, self-awareness. You got to know who you are, where you're trying to go, and then what skills that you have, right? I talked about what are your tools, right? I loved it because Lisa talked about how she used her real estate, which was her background, right? And she used it, she flipped it. Her understanding of real estate, she used, right? And how she gained that financial understanding from a real estate perspective and flipped it. Now I'm about to ask her, can I get a loan? Right? So I can turn around.
Man, that is a great, absolutely
yeah, because that's what she did. So that's my answer, y'all. You know me, I'll keep going.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and we're gonna make time later in the future for this. Dana, do you got a question for one of our guests?
Yeah, Mr. Sherrod, you touched on, and we'll get to the other panelists real quickly, but you touched on something that I just came to understand just like a couple of days ago, is how you can flip your skill sets. So kind of like what you said about Lisa, we have some particular skill sets. So how would you recommend someone to take the skill set from one area and flip it to another area, kind of like what Lisa did?
Yeah, well, one, become an expert, right, in your lane, become an expert in your field, understand it, right? Because the deeper understanding you have of your skills and who you are, then you're able to actually then see it in its totality, right? Then you're able to apply it. And here's the reality. It's apply it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, learn the lesson, right? I have a framework that I use, right? Get a clue, right? Get a clue. Clue being challenge, lesson, utilization, and then execution, right? So what's the challenge, right? When using your tools or using the information that you have, when you're dealing with the challenge, what was the challenge? And then what was the lesson learned? Utilization is all about, is it a process that I need to or is it a deeper understanding that I need to implement? So based on what it is that you need to do, either utilization of my skills or getting a deeper understanding of my skills is going to allow me to see how I can then use that skill and execute to get the desired income that I'm looking for.
Awesome. So, Mr. Jimmy Ray, we have not heard from you at all. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? We don't want to leave you out, but if you want to ask more questions, definitely head over to that after party because it's going to be off the chain. But Jimmy Ray, can you tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm going to say that I'm truly honored to be in this seat with you all and to be alongside hearing from you all. I mean, Lisa, what you talked about was incredible. I was just texting some friends. I was like, y'all need to get on this. That's who this lady is. So I'm just super happy. And Sherrod, I'm with you, brother. You know, about mindset. I'm all about mindset and about, you know, the way you think. And I believe in what Jim Rohn said. You know, it's not the blowing of the winds that determine where you end up, right? It's the set of the sail. So I'm really just a big fan of you all. So I'm appreciative to be here. One thing I'll say about me, 2 fun facts. One, I've been to every state in the country except Alaska. Most of that was through driving. So I do love to travel. And then the other fun fact is, to this day, I've accomplished everything in life that I've ever wanted to accomplish. Anything that I said that I wanted to pursue, I've accomplished that. And so my mission from here on out is to help as many people as I can to say the same things for their lives. I understand that that's going to be different for every person. Everybody has different goals and ambitions. So it's not going to be the same as mine. I mean, I have a simple life and I'm happy with that, but some people are a little bit more ambitious, and that's fine. But my job is to provide the framework and the tools and resources, the people like you all, to get them connected in order for them to be able to say the same things for their lives. So again, I'm happy to be here, and that's a little bit about Jimmy Ray.
Awesome. So when you talked a little bit about framework, if I'm someone who doesn't necessarily have, the structure that I need in place, what's the one thing that you would recommend for somebody like me that was like all over the place? What kind of framework should I implement?
If I had to pick one thing, I would say to get very, very clear about what it is you want in life. Not what other people want for you, not what society says you should have or shouldn't have. Your values, what matters to you, your belief. I would get very clear about just trying to understand who you are and why you are here, and know that a lot of that is choice. A lot of that is you have the power to decide what you want to be from this moment forward. No matter what your past is, no matter what happened before, you can take a step. We talked about that. You said, is it too late? You can take a moment right here and change the course of your life. And you don't have to make big drastic changes. You can start with 1%, 1 degree. If you were flying on an airplane and you just make, you have a trajectory that's already in place, if you just did 1%, you would end up in a totally different spot than what you originally set the course. And that's just how it works, right? That's just the power of how you can make small choices to here today. So I would get crystal clear about what you want. The moment you understood who you are and what you want in life, everything else starts to sort of open up. All your choices and stuff start to say, this doesn't make sense what I'm doing, because what I want is to get to Z, and what I'm doing is getting me to 10. This is not what I want. And so the more crystal clear you can get about who you are and what you want, the better the decisions that you can make every single day.
Wow. Great information. Certainly, we're running out of time, but we're excited. Let's get Lisa in here. Lisa, I want to ask you this question. I have a blank page and there's nothing on it, but the information that you gave out was so exciting. I want to get started. Can you give us in a few moments, just a couple minutes, maybe 3 key points that will help us just getting started in whether it be real estate, whether it be the crypto, what have you? Just give us 3 points of how we would get started on this blank page.
Okay, so either or. Okay, so first, determine what the end goal is. Wealth, is it passive income? Do you want to get out of your job and have the money to sustain you? Okay, so let's start with there. Like, what is it? Is it like 30 years or 20 years? You want to have $200,000 in the bank and then retire? And depending on that goal, we can make different moves. And then once you do that, any of these investments to make money does require you to have a little. So start analyzing where your funds are. So if it's in crypto, how much can I invest in this that I can afford? That it's at risk, of course, just like the stocks, that I won't miss, but I can put aside for the long term. And for that I can don't do every week or every month to this to obtain this goal. And then, or if you're on the real estate investing side, how much money do I have now to invest and obtain, say, a rental property or a flip or a rental? So assess where you're at. And if you're not quite where you're at, okay, how much do I need to save each month to get there? Or how much can I borrow maybe from this or this fund, 401k, or can I take a loan against? So just analyze where you're at with that so you can then start making moves. And then once you're there, so when it comes to crypto, the execution, just try to start simple versus trying to do the more complex things immediately. So there's like 1,000 different exchanges. One knows Cash App, right? Like start there if that's your comfort level. And then as you get comfortable, you're going to naturally branch out. So just start at an easy, something you feel comfortable with. as you get more advanced, you're going to branch out naturally. When it comes to real estate investing, once you hit your target goals and your funding sources, then educate yourself on that particular niche. I think a lot of people who come to me are like, there's so much information and it's conflicting. It's because they're reading about rental properties, but they're reading about rental properties in an A-class neighborhood in New York City, in the rural area. Those are all different. So when you're reading, make sure you know what you want. I focus on lower price properties, lower, Black communities, minority neighborhoods. So that spans the gamut across the country, but that's my niche. If you're someone who wants to focus on A-class neighborhoods or very expensive neighborhoods, the skill set you need for that is not the skill set you need for this. So I always tell people, you got to get specific if you're going to research because you want to know something before you start, and just make sure you're narrowing it down to the right market. So all the information you gather is on that, because it can be contradictory if you're trying to apply it from one asset class to another if you're new at this. So just be very clear about what niche. And when people find me, they're like, you know what, you're more my speed. I can't afford these expensive houses. I don't come from generational wealth, right? So this is what I want to do. And then all of a sudden, my advice versus others, they can place why it was kind of different. Oh, well, they were talking for this asset class. And it's just easier for them to get the skills so they then feel more comfortable going forward on their own. So that's what I would say in either of those cases.
Okay, so very, very good answer. So what I'll do, I'm gonna ask, let's bring Shanita in here, and then Dana will ask the next question. Just want to know from you, Shanita, and in a couple minutes, you all are very, very successful in what you're doing. But I'm sure there were challenges that you had to face in getting to where you are. Can you tell us just what are a couple of challenges that you had to face, and how did you persevere through that? Take a couple minutes for that question.
One of the main challenges that I ran into was whether or not to keep working for someone else or to continue work or to work for myself. And then another challenge was where is the money going to come from to stop working so that you can work for yourself. And it was kind of really simple because, again, we had the girls at home and I provided most of the care for them. So it was an easy decision. Financially, maybe not, but once the decision was made, everything else kind of fell into place. With the things that he has put into place for me or helped me with that have been very beneficial. Some of the things that you all hear him talking about, mindset and that kind of thing. Another challenge was simply the mindset. And my mindset was, what if it doesn't work? But I'm sitting here now and I haven't worked for someone else for maybe 6 or 8 years, I guess. So it worked. You really just have to go out there with the right mindset, and you have to want it. You have to want to do it. And reality is it's sink or swim. You're going to do it or you're going to fail. So
right. Got to be hungry. Got to be hungry, right?
That's
all right,
I just recall, and this question is going to be for all of the panelists. When you think about, I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and when they talk about the difference between, what the rich teach their kids versus what the poor teach their kids. Our mindset is, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. The rich think, how can I? So when we think about each one of the panelists, what's the one main thing, if you had to narrow it down for our listeners, what's the main thing that helps you to realize, what, I can? What's the number one book or the podcast that you've read that has helped you the most in shifting that mindset to, how can I make this work? And we can start with you, Jimmy Ray.
Okay, that's a really good question. So I think I'm going to separate it into mindset and then strategy. So I'll talk about the two things that helped me personally in my life. So by the way, back in, so I started my career in, the business development field, working commission only, knocking on doors for a company. And I was also the sole breadwinner for the family I was taking care of. So I've been through quite a bit, and I wasn't very good at that either, by the way. I'm a natural born introvert, so it's quite a struggle. So there were things I just didn't know, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So I had to go through a phase of kind of discovery and finding things out. But when I figured this out, there are two things I did. For mindset, I had to realize that I am not the only one going through this, that I am not alone. There are 7-8 billion people on this planet. I can't possibly be the only one. And despite what the media may show, I'm not the only person that looks like me that's going through this either. You see what I'm saying? So I had to find out quickly who it is out there who is going through what I was going through and what it is that they did differently than I'm doing right now. I had to learn that, you know, if I wanted to change my circumstances, I had to change. But I may not be able to just change on my own. I have to find examples sometimes. I have to find other people that's done it before and model what they did. And so for a lot of things, I literally would find other people, specifically people who look like me, and just try to talk like them, read the books that they read, just think like them. And also people who did look like me, like Jim Rohn, one of my favorite people. And I just resonated with the mindset and said, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. There is no excuse on that. As long as I do what they do, I should be a lot better than what I am right now. I may not get exactly what they got, but I'll be a lot better.
Awesome. And I think I heard mentorship in there too. So that's a topic for a whole nother day as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the second part real quick is the strategy, right? So mindset can get you so far, but you still need to know what to do. So like Lisa, she's got strategy. I was texting somebody the other day. I said, hey, I like Lisa because she knows why she's doing it. And more importantly, she understands what she's doing. So yeah, I know I keep tooting your horn, Lisa. We need to talk. Anyways, the strategy. So I'll give you one book that I use for what I do for a living. The book is called The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon. There's another book called The Automatic Millionaire, but The Richest Man in Babylon is the key one. And that one is the one that opened my eyes to see not only, you know, I was already in the thought process of I can do this, but this one showed me exactly how. And it showed me in very simple, easy to follow steps. And I believe anybody can do it. If I can do it, working commission only, you know, making $20, $30 a sale type of thing, and I was very bad at that, then you can do it. If I can build wealth for my family and accomplish everything I wanted in life with those types of margins, then you can do it. Usually you who making, you know, your salaries, your $60,000 salary, or you have two incomes in one household. If I can get out of debt with those circumstances, then you can get out of debt. And that book definitely gave me the strategy for how to do so.
Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. Wow. What about you, Lisa? Same question.
Okay, great. I'll keep this quick for you guys. The first one that opened my mind was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Reading it, I was like, yeah, we do that. And ever since then, I was like, okay, the question is, how do we do that? And I had to get that part of my brain thinking, instead of saying, I can't have that yacht, how can I get that yacht? Right? Or whatever that lifestyle I wanted. So that opened my eyes, and that small 1% change made such a huge impact, because now it's never a no, it's a how. And when you shift to that consciousness, it's amazing. To build on top of that, I decided after that moment to really focus on wealth and wealth mindset. So I've pretty much read every book about how what wealthy women know is one of it. Another one is like what the wealthy know that the rich don't. So I started reading books about wealthy mindsets. And I have to say, over the last 6 to 7 years doing that, I really embody it. So I don't have as much as the wealthiest person in the world. But if you look at my lifestyle, I've really taken on, and I decided to take those on because I was like, yeah, that's the life I want. Those characteristics. So I do have, within my budget, like someone who comes in every week to a maid service to clear up time. So instead of me cleaning a house and focusing my activity on things I don't like, I focus that on different, maybe money-making activities or money generating, but I'm in a happier, healthier space because I made that budgeted sacrifice. Or I outsource a lot in my business. So I have a lot more time as an entrepreneur because I've let go. So I've really started embodying it. And so my lifestyle reflects that I have that free time and a little less stress raising my child than other people because I've really doubled down on that. So I would say the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but then going into those wealth mindset. And after a while, if that's all you read, that's what you become. So I don't have to be the wealthiest, but I'll give you an example. So I'm investing in cryptocurrency and I'm 95% on my free money. That's not in real estate. And I'm like, I need more money to buy more crypto. So then I'm like, okay, I could take some from my rental properties. So that sort of has a fund that goes into buying crypto instead of just staying cash. But then it's like, okay, do I have to cut back on anything? And I immediately catch that thought. And I was like, we don't cut. We don't have scarcity. we have abundance. So then I was like, okay, there's this book I've been writing. It's like the sub 30K guide to investing out of state. Let's get on that. So all of a sudden in that wealth mindset, because I would like more income to pay for the crypto, instead of thinking where I could cut back, you go, okay, how can I make more? I can take my hustle and finish this project that's been laying around. And then that's one more stream, not only a passive income, but I can use those proceeds just like I use my rental proceeds to help get me more crypto. And I want to give you an example of how when you get those mindset, it's all about, well, you can just bring in more instead of coming back. And it takes some time to get to this point. I've been reading and living this and embodying it and trying to embody it for years. But I wanted to give an example that will be a difference in your mindset and how you choose to allocate your time and energy.
Awesome, Lisa. And then to close us out in this segment is Sherrod and Sunita. Same question.
You got about 30 seconds too.
Oh yeah, mine is a six-figure blueprint by Emily Benson, and it basically just lays out how to become basically making six figures. I started out with a goal of a small mindset of thinking, oh, if I could just make $300 a week, going into making thousands, a day. So it's been very helpful. It's something that I reference and look back at often. So if I get stuck, I just go back to the blueprint.
Awesome.
Wow. Wonderful. Great information. Listen, they're not done yet. Whether you believe it or not, they're not done yet. We have the after party after this particular forum. So these wonderful guests will be there with us, and they're going to answer more questions. And so you need to come to the after party. So listen, thank you all for being with us on today. Wonderful information, insightful. And not only are we going to hear it, Sherrod, we're going to implement it. Thank you, John Mays.
Replay. I'm going to tell you, that panel was amazing. And we are getting every single thing we need right now in our mind with real technical resources. I just put $50 into Bitcoin on Cash App, and it's coming out every 2 weeks. I just did that on my phone while I was sitting here. We're taking obsessive action. We're taking right now action because we're about to get into the game. Great job, panelists. Thank you all for what you're doing, how you helping us to reframe the way we think about things so we can become investors. We're going to pass this over to Andrea Ford, who's going to be able to close us out and invite you into membership. One thing I want you to do, if you've received that Zoom link for the after party, and you got people you really care about, you got people you know would benefit from some one-on-one time with these panelists and be able to ask questions, I want you to text it to them right now. I want you to email it to them right now, only if you care about them. Only if these are people who you think you want to see them be wealthy in the future. I want you to send that out to them so that they can join us here today in that after party. So with that being said, Andrea Ford, thank you very much, everybody. Let's close it out.
Hello, everyone. Master Builders Academy Forum number 5. Wow. Strategic investment equals massive income. We learned so much today. I hope you all took great notes. If you want to go back and look at it again, just go ahead and share it right now. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. It'll come back in your news feed. It'll be on your page. You can go back and see it at any time. And then send it to your family, to your friends. Don't be stingy. Share it. Let's all go up together. And then I do want to allow you to become more involved with Master Builders Academy. So you could also send an email to masterbuildersacademy@gmail.com if you would like to become a member of Master Builders Academy. Let's see. We have a couple of new members. I'll go ahead and tell you who those are. We have Angela Simmons and Sonia Tux. Congratulations and welcome to Master Builders Academy. Now, along with these two new members, you can join as well, and I'll let you know what you'll get. For the Master Builders membership opportunity, for adults, it's $100. For students, it's $50. And you will become a part of the Master Builders community. You have opportunity to have your business highlighted and be showcased on all MBA platforms. You have access to all the materials that are presented in each forum. Just like the PowerPoints that we saw today, you can get those delivered straight to you. You'll be invited to our Master Builders Academy members only Facebook page. That's right, members only, where we come together and we talk with one another and also share. So like if we're out and we see something going on, we have a question, we can get in that Master Builders Academy members only Facebook page and talk with one another, share secrets and tips and all those things so that we can all go up together. We also have the members only after party that you are invited to, being a member of Master Builders Academy. And just like last year, our Hope Forum was awesome. It was a great success. Being a member, you have VIP status at our Master Builders Academy Hope Forum. And we will have that 2021. And now we want to end, just as we began, everyone would bow their heads. Lord God, we just thank you for allowing us to come together one more time to share some awesome strategies and to glean from one another, to learn these amazing ideas. We pray, oh God, that you will help us to remember, to view our notes, to share the things we've learned today, and not just to look at it, but to take action, massive action. And we ask that you watch over us, keep us, and bless our families. We pray, oh God, for healing through our families and any of those that may be sick around us. Heal our land, Lord God. And we thank you and we bless you in Jesus' name. And we will see you at the next forum. Look for the flyer and the details out on social media. And one last thing. So normally, as I just said before, our members are invited to the after party. But today, we want you all to come on too. So everybody join us right now for the after party. Come on over to the Zoom link. The information is on the screen.